Can you hear me now? Okay, I see bars moving. Whew. I am dropping a lot of frames right now. Pardon my lag. Okay, I can see my hand moving. No, that's my capture. Oh boy. I'm gonna let's see if I can change this to low latency. No, I already have it on low latency. Yikes. I might just need to get better internet. Well, as the title suggests, I'll be opening this box. I'm just breaking the seal now. I think, yeah, this is all going to be recorded and put on the channel anyway. I think I'll just cut the tops of all the packs right now just so I can move a little bit faster. I'm trying to figure out what's going to be the best, so gonna experiment a little bit. Probably can cut the tops of the, what, 4 at a time maybe? Sorry about the lack of music again. I am trying to figure out a way to get something like that set up, and it is being a little bit more difficult than I thought it would, so that is going to once again have to wait. Instead, you get to listen to the glorious crinkling of packs. I would have done this pre-stream, but I thought, you know, if I just had a bunch of packs that already had the tops cut off of them, that would be a little bit suspicious. So I'm doing it right now. See, packs have the tops on, and then I scissor Might be able to do more than 4, but 4 is working just well right now, so it's good. I'll keep it like that. And well, that one didn't really get snipped too well. That's okay, I can fix that. I have the scissors. Oh, no, no, it's fine. Sometimes I hit that little thing in the middle, and I'm worried that I'm hitting a card, so I just stop. And I'll just... If that's going on, I'm just going to tear the rest of the pack. The pack itself doesn't really matter if it's a little beat up, but if I cut a card inside, I'm going to be very upset with myself. That one might have to volunteer to go first. I tore the pack and I tore half of it off. Oh, you can't see it there. Yep, I tore the pack and half the pack just came right off of it. Maybe I'll move down to 3 at a time. I think that's a good amount for now. I've got 2 viewers right now, and I know who they are. I have it pulled up on my phone so that I can watch, and I have it pulled up on my computer as well so that I can watch and make sure that the lag isn't terrible. So for right now, I'll just start with this. And I'll get the other packs cracked in a minute, but we'll start with these. Gotta readjust just a tad. Okay, we'll start with the completely destroyed pack that I tried to be so gentle. I think I should open them this way because I think the commons and the uncommons are on the bottom. I don't know why they do it one way for sealed packs and the other way for packs that you buy in a store, but whatever. It's fine. Goblin Dude. I'm not going to spend too much time on commons unless or uncommons unless I think they sound really good. Okay. Interesting. I like these lands quite a bit. They are... It's basically an Evolving Wilds that's a little bit more specific, and it actually taps for a colorless as well. So I think they're pretty good. There's another one of those lands. That's good. I actually have a deck slot for this. I have an Abs Encounters deck that this Fangs of Colonia would work very well in. It's a sorcery, 1 colorless, 1 green. I mean, if you're watching the stream, you can see it, but I'm reading it out loud just in case you're listening. Sorcery speed, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of 1/1 counters on each creature that had a 1/1 counter put onto it this way. And it has an overload cost of 6 with 2 green. That's pretty cool. I'm liking that. That is a card that I didn't know existed, and it's gonna slot right into one of my decks. Emrakul's Messenger. I feel like I've seen Consigned to Memory before. Seems pretty good. Drowner of Truth. Guide of Souls. It's a 1 white for a 1/2 human cleric. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life and get 1 energy counter. Whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, put 2 1/1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types. Okay. Interesting. Oh, up to 3 viewers. That's very interesting. That's a very interesting, I don't even have him on the camera. There he is. Very interesting ability there. Energy counters are pretty strong. I would say this is just a better Warden of Souls because not only do you get 1 life, but you also get an energy counter. And then you have that extra ability. Wild. Last card. Foil Johnny Fells the Godsire. Okay. Nadu on the art card. Hopefully that's an omen. I think Nadu's probably the only actual card that I know is really, really good in the set. But I mean, I know there's a lot of really, really good stuff in the set. There's so much of it that I can't remember the names. Let's start this a bit higher. Refurbished Familiar. It's a zombie rat. Serum Visionary. It's Serum Visions on a creature. Not bad. A cat dragon. If I'm skipping over gold, feel free to shout, but I'm just kind of trying to shovel through the commons and uncommons, unless they look particularly exciting. You know what? Let me move these to the other side because I'm actually blocking my light source. Maybe that will help. Gonna move the camera real quick. That might help a little bit. Oh, that's a living weapon. Neat. +6/+6 trample in green. I kind of just like the flavor of that. It's a colossal dreadmaw, but on an equipment. You can have something wield the colossal dreadmaw. Adapt 2. Interesting. That's a pretty good ability on a 2-drop. Draw 4 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. It's a brainstorm, but better. But 3 times as much. It's a pretty good way to generate energy tokens. It's 2 colorless, 1 red. I'm getting down to the bottom of my recording area. It gives you an energy token whenever you, or an energy counter, excuse me, whenever you attack. I would like it to be a little bit more specific. Whenever you attack could mean like during your combat phase, when you declare attackers, you get 1 energy counter, or it could mean whenever you declare a creature as an attacking creature, then you get an energy counter. And the wording there is surprisingly ambiguous. Usually they're a lot better about wording stuff. But I think either way, that's pretty good. Priest of Titania with the old border. Pretty familiar with that card. It's a very good mana dork. Move a counter from target permanent you control onto another target permanent. Activate only as a sorcery. Alright, the rare in the pack. White Orchid Phantom. 2 white for a 2/2 with flying and first strike. It's pretty strong. When a white Orchid Phantom enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target non-basic land. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. When it enters the battlefield. When it enters the battlefield, not when it's cast. So if you have a way to recur your creatures, that sounds like a strip mine. I'm not a fan of land destruction when it's used against me, but this seems fair enough that I would probably be a little bit upset, but not super upset if I'm getting my lands blown up and I just can't replace them. So interesting. Not a bad card. All right, I pulled a foil. It's a rare. Abstruse Appropriation. 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. Devoid, so it does not have a color. Instant speed as well. Exile target non-land permanent. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend colorless mana as though it were mana of any color to cast that spell. Try to get a close-up on that. It's kind of working. Working better than last time. Oop. Not bad. I'm going to set that to the side. Actually, I'll set it down here. To sort all the uncommons and the commons out later, but I'm going to separate the other stuff. All right, next pack. Oh, there's also an energy token energy counter or an Eldrazi spawn token. Very nice. Always use more tokens. Fanged Flames. Colorless spell. Neat. Dross Claw. Aether Spike. I was just thinking Aether Spike sounded kind of nice. You're able to What's up on a forklift wrestling podcast? Mandibular Kite. Again, gonna kind of scoot through these commons and uncommons. There's a lot more energy counter generation in this set than I thought there would be. Okay. Galvanic Discharge, sort of like a lightning bolt almost, but it can only target a creature or a planeswalker instead of any target. You get the 3 energy. I guess you can spend more if you have more, but you might not want to do that. And it's good to have the choice, so the 1-drop is not bad. Necrobloom. There we go. 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, 1 green. It's not focusing again. To 2/7. It's got landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you create a 0/1 green plant creature token. Yep. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, you create a 2/2 black zombie creature token instead. And land cards in your graveyard have a Dredge 2. Dredge. There we go. It's a pretty neat ability to have on a plant. Honestly, I could see that making a pretty fun commander. My foil is Solace Zealot. Shove that in the foil pile. Ooh, and a foil swamp. Very nice. Foil swamp. Another Drossclaw. Pulled one of those in the last pack. Unfathomable Truths. Molten Gatekeeper. Temperamental Oozewag. We can get... Oh, it's 2 for a flying counter. Nice. Riddlegate Gargoyle. More energy token nonsense. Those lands are so great. I really like these. They're almost like Triomes or whatever they were. Outlast. Modified creatures you control have lifelink. Nice. Nice. Breaker of Creation. It that heralds the end. Colorless spells you cast with mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less to cast. Other colorless creatures you control get +1/+1. And it's 2 for a 2/2. Not terrible. That's interesting for sure. If you can figure out a way to copy it, then you can start bringing out Eldrazi super early. Charitable Levy. 2-drop enchantment. Non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, put a collection counter on Charitable Levy. Then, if there are 3 or more collection counters on it, sacrifice it. If you do draw a card, then you may search your library for a Plains card, put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. It seems not so bad. Because it's whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, not just an opponent. You can cast a bunch of non-creature spells and you can still get it to crack. Ruby Medallion, full art. That's pretty. 2-drop artifacts. Red spells cost 1 less to cast. Not much to say about it. Card is... that card's pretty old. That's just a reprint. Not saying it's bad, it's just I'm familiar with that card, so I think I have a Ruby Medallion that's a lot older kicking around someplace. Oh, another rare. That's weird. 2 rares in a pack. Huh. Thought that only happened if one of them was foil. Null Drifter, 7-drop, Eldrazi Elemental. When you cast the spell, draw 2 cards. Okay. Annihilator 1, flying, and evoke. I guess you can just pay it for its evoke cost to draw 2 cards, but... And the foil is an Unstable Amulet. That'll just go in the foil pile. Null Drifter and Ruby Medallion. Molten Gatekeeper again. I feel like I've got lots of that. Gravedigg. Deem Inferior. Oh. Cyclops Superconductor. Prowess and bunch of energy counters. Hex Gold. More neat lands. I don't even know what they wanted to call that cycle, but Eldrazi Repurposer, Spawn Gang Commander. It's like Siege Gang Commander, but it's an Eldrazi Goblin instead. 3 sacrifice an Eldrazi. Okay, it has a similar ability as well. Territory color. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, you may put it into the graveyard. Legion Leadership. Nice little combat trick. Until end of turn, double target creature's power, and it gains first strike. Rare in the pack, Savine's Reclamation. 2 colorless, 1 white sorcery. Return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the spell was cast from a graveyard, you may copy the spell and may choose a new target for the copy. And it has a flashback cost of 4 colorless and... well, 4 generic, I should say, and 1 white. And this is another double rare pack. Interesting. Imscure Iron Eater. 8-drop with Rakdos colors in it. Affinity for Artifacts. Affinity for Artifacts is nice. When it enters the battlefield, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of artifacts you control, rounded down. Sacrifice an artifact, and the creature deals damage equal to the sacrificed artifact's mana value to any target. Nice. And a foil wing it. Just a double-sided card. Wither and Bloom. I feel like Wither and Bloom was actually pretty good. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. I mean, I feel like a lot of cards with graveyard effects are pretty decent. Mostly because that's not super common in the format. I mean, yeah, you got flashback and stuff like that, but... Infernal Captor. Gift of the Viper. Thraben Charm. Get to beat up somebody else's creature. Another Conduit Goblin. Bountiful Landscape. Another one of those neat lands. Hope Ender Coddle. When you cast the spell, counter target spell an opponent controls unless they pay 1. Okay, so it's a counter spell on a body. Blood-soaked Insight. You get to steal your opponent's stuff off the top of their deck. That's always nice. For you, not for them. Ooh. That's not a... That doesn't... That effect this Angel of the Ruins has, excuse me, it doesn't end when it leaves the field like an Oblivion Ring would. It just comes into the field and then exiles up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. That's neat. Some good artifact hate. Kozilek, the Broken Reality. 9-drop, 9/9. When you cast the spell, up to 2 target players each manifest 2 cards from their hands. For each card manifested this way, you draw a card. Other colorless creatures you control get +3/+2. Pretty nice. I think I remember hearing Kozilek was pretty good. Kozilek. Deep Analysis. Target player draws 2 cards. Flashback 1 and a blue. Pay 3 life. Would totally pay for that. Nothing wrong with that. And a land. And a token. This pack got a little bit chewed up when I was removing its top. Barnyard Lurker. Smelted Charge Bug. Gorilla Sentry. Human Night Rogue. Conniving is not a bad ability. Spell the Unworthy. Writhing Chrysalis. Give it to the Viper. We've seen a lot of these already. Metastatic Evangel. Human Phyrexian Cleric. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. Proliferate, really? Seems that seems pretty good on a 2-drop. Solar Transformer. Creation of Avacyn. 3 stages. It's a tutor, but you have to wait 2 turns for the first. Oh no, the second turn. Oh, it's even better than a tutor. Interesting. One Power Stone. Detective's Phoenix. It's a 3-drop with 1 red in there. Enchantment Creature Phoenix. 2/2. Bestow 1 red, collect evidence 6. Flying Haste. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and haste. You may cast Detective's Phoenix from your graveyard using its Bestow ability. Bestow. Yeah, Petrifying Meddler. And a land. And an art card. Skoa, Ember Mage. I have pulled one of these. I got a fat pack. It's actually sitting right here. And I noticed that this creature is a common, but it is a legendary. And I find that very weird. Cursed Marauder. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. Just a better Fleshbag Marauder. Inspired Inventor. Yeah, we've pulled one of those. Kozilek's Unsealing. 2 colorless, 1 blue. Enchantment. It's devoid. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 4, 5, or 6, create 2/0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens with sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 7 or greater, draw 3 cards. Okay. So that wants to be in an Eldrazi deck. Skittering Predator. Fellmire or Fell the Profane. For instant, destroy target creature or planeswalker. Barbarian Ring. Woo! Had red mana and it deals 1 damage to you. Once you have Threshold, you can tap a red and tap it to sacrifice it, and it hits something for 2 damage. Interesting. It's basically a shock on a land rather than a shock land. This is the land that shocks your chosen target rather than your face. Party Thrasher. A 2-drop Lizard Wizard. It's a 1/4. Non-creature spells you cast from exile have Convoke. Okay, I like that. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard a card. If you do, exile the top 2 cards of your library, then choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. Come on. Focus up, camera. You can do it. I believe in you. I said you can do it. I believe in you. Hey, you did it. I believed hard enough. Pretty neat. Party Thrasher. Party Thrasher. I think I can slot that into a deck as well, so that's cool. Sephoric Springs or Sink into Stupor. Sink. There we go. Infernal Captor. Wither and Bloom again. Warped Tusker. Eldrazi Boar Beast. When you cast or cycle it, you get a Eldrazi Spawn token. Eldrazi Spawn? Eldrazi Spawn. There we go. I can talk, I promise. Faithful Watchdog. When it enters the battlefield, you put 3 1/1 counters on it. So it's 2 for a 3/3 basically. And it has Vigilance. Neat. Basking Broodskill. This is actually a common that I'm pretty interested in. I do already have one, but I was looking at its ability and I thought it was really good. It is a colorless and a green for a 2/2. You can pay the same, so a colorless and a green. And it has Adapt 1. If this creature has no 1/1 counters on it, put a 1/1 counter on it. Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put on Basking Broodskill, you may create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi Spawn token. And, I mean, that's this dude right here, the Eldrazi Spawn token. You can sacrifice it for 1 colorless. There's a lot of ways to put 1/1 counters on creatures in green. I mean, that's no secret, but I was thinking for the Abzan counters deck that I have, anytime I would double the amount of counters, that's putting counters on it. And if I also had, say, Hardened Scales in play, that is a separate instance of 1/1 counters being put on the creature, so it would actually trigger twice. So, yeah, just different ways to slam more counters and get more value. Tranquil Landscape, or the nice lands. Another Metastatic Evangel. Mogmob. 3 red for a 3/3. Sacrifice Mogmob. It deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets. Well, if you can give it Death Touch, that's a pretty good way to just eliminate 3 creatures. Witch Enchanter or Witch Blessed Meadow. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Okay, neat. Cephalid Coliseum. Okay, so that's kind of like Barbarian Ring, but a little different. Target player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards. Activate only if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard. What card makes you do that? I think they're all kind of based off something in their color identity, but... Polluted Delta. There's a fetch land. Polluted Delta. I guess I can read it for posterity's sake. Polluted Delta, it's a land. You pay a life and tap and sacrifice it. You search your library for a swamp or an island and put that card onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So you don't even have to tap the land that you pull out. Electroza, 3 for a 3/1 flash flying. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, tap the creature unless you pay a energy counter. I don't see much use for that other than just flashing in a surprise blocker, which, I mean, that can be effective, but it's a little bit underwhelming for its cost to keep it untapped, in my opinion. Just checking to make sure I didn't leave any basics in this pile. Nope, we're good. Breathe your last. Drowned Lurker. Sarpadian. Yeah. Sarpadian Simulacrum. Foul Strike. 2-drop. Destroy target creature with flying. Reinforce for 2/1/1 counters on something. That's reasonable. Sheltering Landscape. Mandibular Kite. Pyretic Rebirth. Return target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Pyretic Rebirth deals damage equal to that card's mana value to up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Solar Transformer. Rawl and the Implicit Maze. That's a lot of words that I don't feel like reading. Sink into Stupor. I pulled one of them. Emerald Medallion. That's a same as a Ruby Medallion, but for green spells instead of red. Invert Polarity. 2 blue, 1 red. Instant speed. Choose target spell, then flip a coin. If you win the flip, you gain control of that spell, and you may choose new targets for it. If you lose the flip, counter the spell. And is it counterspell with 0 downside? Focus, come on. Come on, focus. Please, camera. Please. Yeah, it's being difficult right now. That's all right. Gonna sort both of these real quick. Invert Polarity. It's not a bad counter spell. Kami of the Jealous Thirst, 3 for a 1/3 Death Touch. For 5 mana, including 1 black, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This ability costs less to activate if you've drawn 3 or more cards this turn. Activate only once each turn. Interesting. A land. Pulled that one. Tempest Harvester. Siege Smash. Shattered Landscape. Eldrazi Repurposer. Nyxborn Unicorn. I don't think I've seen that one yet. 2 for a 2/2. Bestow 4 Mentor. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has Mentor. Mentor is an interesting ability. I think it's pretty worthwhile. Trickster's Elk. 3 for a 3/3 with Bestow 2. Enchanted creature loses all abilities, and it's a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. I mean, that's a pretty good way to get rid of a threat on your opponent's board. Just turn it into a deer. Scurry of Gremlins. Vexing Bauble. It's a 1-drop artifact. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, you counter that spell. And you can also just pay a colorless, tap it, and sacrifice it to draw a card. Haven of the Harvest or Strength of the Harvest. Victimize. Ooh, Victimize is a good one. Pearl Ear, Imperial Advisor. 1 colorless, 2 white. For a 3/4 Fox Advisor with lifelink. Enchantment spells you cast have affinity for auras. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent you control, draw a card. So it is rewarding you for Voltroning your creatures, or your single creature that you're Voltroning. I think I might have just had a really bad lag spike that kicked people out of the stream. Definitely going to need to look into getting some better internet here soon. See if I can get this to focus. What if I put it against something? It just does not want to focus right now. I think I just need to replace the camera. It's an older piece of gear. I'm sure I can get it to work, but it's just struggling with fiddling with it until something works. Expel the Unworthy. Oops. Well, I just saw my foil. That's okay. It's nothing too exciting. Trying to smooth this mat out. It's a little bit pulled up at this end. Galvanic Discharge, saw that one. Retrofitted Transmogrant. Tempest Harvester. Nyxborn Unicorn. Cranial Ram. Great equipment. It's basically cranial plating, but in a different color. Bountiful Landscape. Grim Servant. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a card with mana value less than or equal to your devotion to black. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You lose 3 life. That's a pretty good tutor. Tameo meets the Story Circle. Urza's Cave. Interesting. Glasswing Grace. +2/+2. Flying Lifelink. Decree of Justice. XX2 white. Create X 4 floor. Yes, the floor. Create X 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying. And when you cycle it, you can pay any amount of mana, and if you do, create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Neat. Alternate abilities are great. Warren Soul Trader. Zombie Goblin Wizard. 3-drop for a 3/3. Pay 1 life, sacrifice another target creature. Sorry, not target creature. Another creature. Create a treasure token. So you can sell your creatures and get treasure tokens for them. I would love to get this to focus, please. You just worked earlier. That's awful. It's being difficult. There's that foil Cyclops Superconductor. And we're on to the next pack. Inventor's Axe. Refurbished Familiar. Electrozoa. Riddlegate Gargoyle. Foul Strike. Cranial Ram. Bountiful Landscape. Envoy of the Ancestors. Had that. Hydra Trainer. 1 colorless, 1 green for a 1/1. You may exert Hydra Trainer as it attacks. When you do, target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of counters on permanents you control. Whew. Okay. That could be fun. Monstrous Vortex. Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. That also seems pretty good. Crackling Falls or Rush of Inspiration. Fledgling Dragon. That's an old one. Ooh. Grist Voracious Larvae. 1 for a 1/2 insect with Death Touch. Whenever Grist Voracious Larva or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay 1 green. If you do, exile this creature, then return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Grist the Plague Swarm. Legendary Planeswalker. Ooh, it's actually kind of focused right now. Keep being focused. It starts with 3 loyalty. It's +1. Create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then mill 2 cards. Put a Death Touch counter on the token if a black card was milled this way. -2 to destroy target artifact or enchantment. -6 for each creature card in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black and green insect. Huh. That seems pretty exciting. I know there's a couple other flip planeswalkers in the set. Reiterating Bolt. to the next pack. Glimpse the impossible. Grossclaw. Utter insignificance. Dog Umbra. Contaminated landscape. Horrific assault. Foreboding landscape. Signature Slam. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control, then each modified creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. That is pretty fun. There's that Spawn Gang Commander again. Hunger Tide Rises again. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. I think this is a reprint. 4 colorless, 3 Phyrexian black mana. It has lifelink. It's a 2/2. For each black in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. So basically, anytime you cast a spell while this creature's on the field, it turns all black mana symbols into black Phyrexian symbols. Whenever you cast a black spell, put a 1/1 counter on Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. Not bad. Crick seems like a pretty fun guy to have at a party. Volatile Stormdrake. Flying and hexproof from activated and triggered abilities. When it enters the battlefield, exchange control of Volatile Stormdrake and target creature an opponent controls. If you do, you get 4 energy counters, then sacrifice that creature unless you pay an amount of energy counters equal to its mana value. I mean, you're giving your opponent a 3/2 flyer. I guess it could be worth it, especially if you can just like take their main combo piece. But the creature doesn't have flash. It's there. It doesn't have flash, so I think its ability, while you could argue it's good, I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's gonna shake anything up too horribly. Nyxborn Unicorn in foil. Land for the pack. And an art card. Eviscerator's Insight. Sacrifice an artifact or creature. Draw 2 cards. Flashback 5. Electrozoa. Thriving Skyclaw. That's the cat dragon. Nyxborn Hydra. X green or bestow X green. Reach, trample. Nyxborn Hydra enters the counter. Nyxborn Hydra enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Nyxborn Hydra, and has reach and trample. Dog Umbra. Obstinate Gargoyle. Tranquil Landscape. Twisted Riddle Keeper. An Eldrazi Sphinx. 8 for a 5/5 with Emerge. Cost of 5. Generic, 1 colorless, 1 blue. Cast the spell for its emerge cost by sacrificing a creature and paying the merge cost reduced by that creature's mana value. When you cast this spell, tap up to 2 target permanents. Put a stun counter on each of them. Well, if you can proliferate those, it'd be even better. It also has flying, just as a cherry on top. But I mean, makes sense. It's Sphinx. Consuming Corruption, 2 black, instant speed. Consuming Corruption deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, and you gain X life, where X is the number of swamps you control. Eldrazi Ravager, 5 and a colorless for a 6/6, Annihilator 1. Sacrifice 2 Eldrazi, return Eldrazi Ravager from your graveyard to your hand, and you can cycle it early on to get it in your graveyard. Fletchling Dragon. Flare, I can't read. Flare of Fortitude, 2 white. Instant speed. You may sacrifice a non-token white creature rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Until the end of turn, your life total can't change, and permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible. So it's kind of like a, almost like a Teferi's Protection, but a little bit less. Because you don't just phase out of existence until the end of your next turn, or until the beginning of your next turn. But it does, for the turn, make it so it's really hard to interact with you and your stuff. Envoy of the Ancestors, that's a good one. Well, for me. All right, next pack. Cat Dragon again. Fetid Gargantua? Yeah. It's a horror. Oh. Whenever one or more 1/1 counters are put onto Fetid Gargantua, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, lose 2 life. I overlooked your 5 cost as something that was just a little bit unrealistic. Solstice Zealot. Snapping Voidcraw. Having the ability to just draw a card. Not bad. Evolution Witness. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on Evolution Witness, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Deceptive Landscape. Indebted Spirit. 1 for a 1/1, bestow 3. Afterlife 1. When this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has Afterlife 1. Path of Annihilation. When Path of Annihilation enters the battlefield, create 2 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens with sacrifice, add 1 colorless. Eldrazi you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color. Okay. Whenever you cast a creature spell with mana value 7 or greater, gain 4 life. Unstable Amulet. Angel of the Ruins. Power Balance. Oh, this was the promo, wasn't it? Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, you may cast the card without paying its mana cost if the 2 spells have the same mana value. It's a 2-drop red enchantment. It's interesting, but since you have to match mana value, I think unless you can hit a scry, like in response to them casting a spell, it might not be great. You're probably not going to get hits on it as much as you might want. Smelted Charge Bug in foil. A land and an art card. All right, 2 more packs for right now, and then I've got to open the next group. Or I might just do them one at a time. Fanged Flames, saw that one. Wither and Bloom, saw that one again, but pretty good. Trying Meddler. Jolted Awake, I don't think we've seen that one yet. 1 white, choose up to 1 target artifact or creature card in your graveyard. You get 2 energy counters. Then you may pay an amount of energy counters equal to that card's mana value. If you do, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Expanding Ooze. Whenever Expanding Ooze attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target modified creature you control. That needs to go into my counters deck. Furnace Hellkite. 5/7 for a 5/5. Affinity for artifacts. Good. And it has fire breathing. So it's basically a Shivan Dragon, but it has affinity for artifacts. And I think it costs 1 more. Okay. Horrid Shadow Spinner. 3 for a 2/3 lifelink. When it attacks, draw cards equal to its power. If you do, discard that many cards as well. Gardens of Freylies. Or Disciple of Freylies. It's a 6-drop for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. Kind of a good oh shit button. Koram, the Undertaker. Jund colors, so 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green. Koram the Undertaker gets +X/+0, where X is the greatest power among creature cards in all graveyards. Whenever Koram attacks, each player mills a card. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a spell from among cards in graveyards that were put there from libraries this turn. Pretty neat. A Jund Mill deck. Sounds very, very rude. Shrieking Drake. Fanatic of Ronus. Ronus? Yeah, Ronus. 2 for a 1/4, Snake Druid. It has mana dork ability, tap to add 1 green. Ferocious, add 4. Activate only if you have a creature with power 4 or greater. And if it dies, it's also got Eternalize 4. And you can put it back into play as a 4/4 black zombie snake druid. It'll have the same abilities. That's pretty neat. Fanatic of Ronus. Fanatic. And our foil. Faithful Watchdog. That's a fun foil to get. It's a dog. Oh, there's 2 more packs that I pre-cut open. Copy token. Haha. Alright. Void Pouncer. Viscerator's Insight. Sage of the Unknowable. Sheltering Landscape. Thraben Charm. Sneaky Snacker. Malevolent Rumble. Reveal the top 4 cards of your libraries. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand. Put the rest into your graveyard. Create a 1/1. Sorry, not a 1/1. A 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token with sacrifice this creature. Add 1 colorless. Arcbound Condor. Hey, Arcbounds. Modular. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, target creature and opponent controls get -1/-1 until end of turn. Whew. Royal Cartographer. Sink it to stupor. Satya, Aetherflux Genius. It's 1 colorless and Jeskai colors, so red, white, blue. 3/5 Menace Haste. Whenever this creature attacks, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of up to 1 other target non-token creature you control. You get 2 energy counters. At the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice that token unless you pay an amount of energy counters equal to its mana value. That was one of the commanders, I think, from the precons. It's interesting to see it in a standard pack, but I think it's only taking the slot of an uncommon, which is actually kind of weird as well. I'm only losing about 60% of my frames. Annoyed Allosaurus. Harbinger of the Seas. I'm just laughing at its ability. It's 1 colorless, 2 blue for a 2/2, and non-basic lands are islands. There's no coming back from that if you are not a blue player, or at least are running blue in your deck. Just all of your non-basic lands. Guess what? They're islands now. Not in addition to their other types. They are just islands. It's kind of like Blood Moon. Wirewood Symbiote. Ooh. It's a 1-drop for a 1/1. Return an elf you control to its owner's hand. Untap target creature. Activate only once each turn. I am actually thinking, because it specifically says an elf, I might want to run that in. I have scrying elves, and a lot of them, like when they come into play, you scry, and then they just sit there and do nothing. That might be pretty good for evasion for 1, and for 2, just getting creatures out that have already been out once and might want to re-enter the battlefield. Dream Drinker Vampire. We had that one already. Corrupted Shapeshifter. Galvanic Discharge. Airy Auxiliary. When it enters the battlefield, support 2. Put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Up to 2 other target creatures. Colossal Dreadmask. There's my Colossal Dreadmaw again. Expel the Unworthy. Perilous Landscape. Collective Resistance. It's 1 colorless, 1 green, instant speed, and you can escalate it. Pay this cost for each mode chosen beyond the first. Choose 1 or more. Destroy target artifact. Destroy target enchantment. Target creature gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. If you've got a lot of mana just sitting around, that sounds like a pretty decent, actually more than decent, combat trick. Reiterating Bolt, again, has Replicate, 3 damage, target creature or planeswalker. Razorgrass Ambush, 3 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Deep Analysis, pulled one of those. Crabomination. I love its name. 6-drop with 2 black in it. It has Emerge from Artifact. 5 and 2 black, so 7 overall. When Crabomination enters the battlefield, target opponent exiles the top card of their library, a card at random from their graveyard, and a card at random from their hand. You may cast a spell from among the cards exiled this way without paying its mana cost. Crabomination. That's a good rare. Bloodstained Mire. Look at that. Another fetch land. It's the same as the Polluted Delta, but this time it's a swamp or mountain. So it comes into play untapped. You can tap it, pay 1 life, and sacrifice it. Then search for the aforementioned lands. Hey, look. My foil is a Bountiful Landscape. It's Tamur colors. So, rug. Red, blue, green. Okay. I gotta grab the box. It's next to me. And there's still several packs in here to open. I'll just keep it in my lap. It takes up a little bit too much space on the table. Okay, let's see what we got here. Dreamfreaker Vampire. Tune the Narrative. 1 to draw a card and get 2 energy counters. Instant speed. Not bad. It's a cantrip that gives you 2 energy counters, essentially. The top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact or enchantment card from among them, put them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, put a 1/1 counter on the creature. There's the Basking Brood-Scale again. Golden Tail Trainer. 1 colorless, 1 green, 1 white. 1/3 Fox Samurai. Auras and equipment spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is Golden Tail Trainer's power. Whenever Golden Tail Trainer attacks, other modified creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is Golden Tail Trainer's power. Arcbound Condor. Modular is a pretty neat ability. I didn't specify what it did last time I pulled the Arcbound Condor. The creature enters the battlefield with X number of 1/1 counters on it. And when the creature dies, you get to move those 1/1 counters onto another target artifact creature. It does have to be an artifact creature specifically, but it's pretty neat that you get to move them. Null Elemental Blast. It's a counterspell. It's a colorless counterspell. Counter target multicolored spell or destroy target multicolored permanent. Has to be multicolored, but a lot of things are multicolored. So you can also run it in any deck. It just needs the colorless. Razorgrass Ambush again. Wirewood Symbiote. Archway of Innovation. It's a land. This is the rare. Archway of Innovation enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island. You can tap it to add a blue, or tap a blue and tap. The next spell you cast this turn has Improvise. Your artifacts can help cast the spell. Each artifact you tap After you're done activating mana abilities, pays for 1 colorless, or 1 generic, I should say. Foil Lethal Throwdown. Another pack. There's many packs. It was a whole box. Seed Smash. Fetid Gargantua. Sage of the Unknowable. Faithful Watchdog. Nyxborn Hydra. Nyxborn Unicorn. Sneaky Snacker. Glaring Fleshraker. 2 generic, 1 colorless for a 2/2. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, create a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn token. Whenever another colorless creature enters the battlefield under your control, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Marionette Apprentice. 1 generic, 1 black for a 1/2. Fabricate 1. When this creature enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on it or create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. Whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Bridgeworks Battle, Sorcery Speed. 3-drop, 2 generic, 1 green. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. It fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Fight, fight, fight. Urza's Incubator. As Urza's Incubator enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creature spells of the chosen type cost 2 less to cast. That's pretty good. It's a 3-drop artifact. Most of my decks are tribal decks. Most of my EDH decks. Oh, well, I know what the next card is now, looking over. That's okay. So, the 2 generic less, pretty good. That's very nice. And then we've got Tamiyo. Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student. 1 for a 0/3 flying. Whenever Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student attacks, investigate. So when you attack with Tamiyo, even though it's a 0/3, you get to create a clue token. When you draw your 3rd card in a turn, exile Tamiyo, then return her to the battlefield transformed under her owner's control. Tamiyo, Seasoned Scholar. Starts with 2 counters, 2 loyalty counters. +2 until your next turn. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets -1/-0 until end of turn. -3. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a green card, add 1 mana of any color. Interesting. -7. Draw cards equal to half the number of cards in your library. Rounded up. You get an emblem with, you have no maximum hand size. That's Tamiyo. Next card should be foil. Foil Cat Dragon. That's another great foil to have. This will be the land, and this will be the token. It's a double side. Retrofit Transmorgate, Tempest Harvester, Warped Tusker, These are all things that we've already seen. Galvanic Discharge, Contaminated Landscape, Hex Goldsmith, Sneaky Snacker, Amped Raptor. 2 for a 2/1 first strike. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy counters. Then, if you cast it from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card by paying an amount of energy counters equal to its mana cost, rather than paying its mana cost. Ethereum Terramander. 1 black for a 1/1 flyer. Ethereum Terramander can block only creatures with flying. Adapt 4. Ooh. It gets to get huge. Suppression Ray. Tap all creatures target player controls. You may pay X energy counters. Then choose up to X creatures tapped this way. Put a stun counter on each of them. Jet Medallion. Well, I've got 3 out of 5. Let's see if I can go all the way. Jet Medallion is just Emerald Medallion or Ruby Medallion, but it's black spells instead of the other 2 colors. Disruptor Flute. 2 for an artifact with flash. As Disruptor Flute enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen card name cost 3 more to cast. Activated abilities or of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. Disruptor Flute. Doesn't seem amazing for the format that I normally play. However, since it has flash, you can always just use it to essentially counter a spell, or at least delay somebody's spell by 3 turns. Conduit Goblin. Conduit Goblin. And a land. And a token. Phyrexian Worm. Gonna send a quick text message. Okay. Inventor's Axe. Kami of Jealous Thirst. Serum Visionary. Sheltering Landscape. Horrific Assault. Rosecott Knight. Perilous Landscape. Cursed Wombat. Proud Pack Rhino. 3 for a 3/3. When Proud Pack Rhino enters the battlefield, choose 1. Put a shield counter on target permanent, or proliferate. Proliferate. Essence Reliquary. Essence Reliquary. 2 generic, 1 white. Tap to return another target permanent you control and all auras you control attached to it to their owner's hand. Activate only during your turn. Legion Leadership. It's Reef Worm. It's 3 colorless, or sorry, 3 generic, 1 blue. When a Reef Worm dies, create a 3/3 blue fish creature token with when this creature dies, create a 6/6 blue whale creature token with when this creature dies, create a 9/9 blue kraken creature token. I was actually just talking the other day, it was probably the other week, about this card with a friend. So the Bloomburrow Commander decks, I actually pulled the Commander when I did Bloomburrow Collector Booster openings. I think it's Zuriel Z. I have it right over there. Let me grab it. Zinnia, Valley's Voice. This one. It gives all of your creatures that you cast offspring. So we were talking about how with Zinnia you could have a reform and then you could pay its offspring cost of 2 and then you would have 2 reforms, and when they died you would have 2 3/3 bluefish creature tokens, and we just thought that was pretty funny because double the fun. Double the fun. Double reform, double fish. You can't. You unfortunately can't cast or pay the offspring costs when the tokens come into play. But if you have, like, what's a token doubler in white? I know there's at least Mondrak, the Praetor, because I have one of those. There must be other ones, but yeah, if you could find a way to double your tokens, then that's pretty cool too. Aladamar, Alad, Alad Amory. Whew, that was a mouthful. Corvectal. 3 for a 3/3. Elf. Warrior. Trying to get it. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. 1 green and tap the creature. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Reveal a card from your hand or the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, put it onto the battlefield. Activate only during your turn. Seems like a pretty good elf to have in your elf deck. Foil is Suspension Ray. Or not Suspension, Suppression. Suppression Ray. And a Fox token. Economy of the Jealous Thirst. Petrifying Meddler. Void Pouncer. Shattered Landscape. Jolted Awake. Writhing Chrysalis. Tranquil Landscape. Reckless. Pyrosurfer. 2 for a 2/2 haste with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Reckless Pyrosurfer gains Battle Cry until end of turn. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Each instance of Battle Cry triggers separately. Okay. Battle Cry is fun. Horrid Shadow Spinner. Triton Wavebreaker. 1 for a 1/1 enchantment creature, Merfolk Wizard. Bestow 1 colorless, or sorry, 1 generic. I'm so used to calling it colorless. 1 generic, 1 blue. As long as Triton Wavebreaker is a creature, it has prowess. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has prowess. Shriner of Truth. Shrieking Drake. Kudo, King Among Bears. Hey, it's the bear. Other creatures have base power and toughness 2/2 and are bears in addition to their other types. This card says, hey, you know all those fun combo creatures you have? They're bears now. I guess it doesn't strip them of abilities, but that's fun. Bears. I think it would have been icing on the cake if it just stripped everything's power and abilities and just said, okay, it's a bear fight now. Deceptive Landscape. Another one of the special lands from this set. The landscape lands. I guess they're all landscape something or other. Pack was being a little bit ornery, and I noticed my stream was a little bit behind. That's okay. Do think I have a delay set up on it anyway. Refurbished Familiar, Aether Spike, Glimpse the Impossible, Malevolent Rumble, Mandibular Kite. That name is so fun to say. Obstinate Gargoyle, Deceptive Landscape, Muster the Departed. I haven't seen this one yet. 2 generic, 1 white. Enchantment. When Muster the Departed enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Morbid. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, populate. Nice. Wormcoil Larvae. Larva. 3 generic, 2 black for a 3/3 with Death Touch and Lifelink. When it dies, create a 1/2 black Phyrexian worm artifact creature token with Death Touch and a 2/1 black Phyrexian worm artifact creature token with Lifelink. Disciple of Freylis. Barbarian Ring. We've had those. Argent Dais. 2 with 1 generic, 1 white for an artifact. Argent Dais enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. Whenever 2 or more creatures attack, put an oil counter on Argent Dais. 2 generic, tap, remove 2 oil counters from Argent Dais, exile another target non-land permanent. Its controller draws 2 cards. I could see that being used on your own stuff, like just targeting tokens and stuff that you really don't care about, and just using it to draw cards. Exile tokens, draw cards. I like that. There's that Malevolent Rumble again. Land token. I think next week when I stream, I will start a little bit earlier. I won't actually start opening packs. I'll just cut the packs open so that I don't have to open them all. But I'll cut the packs open while I'm live just so people don't think I'm switching out packs with packs that I've already opened. Skoa, Ember Mage. We got that guy already. It's the legendary common Accursed Marauder. Demon Inferior. Snapping Voidcraw. Nightshade Dryad. I don't think I've seen this one yet. Huh. Generic green for a 1/2 with Death Touch. Has tap to add 1 colorless or tap to add 1 mana of any color. Twisted Landscape. Area Auxiliary. Furnace Hellkite. Propagator Drone. Creature tokens you control have Evolve. Okay. Neat. It's 2 for a 2/2 with Devoid, so it's a colorless thing. Colorless spell, even though it has a green color identity. And it generates tokens. Is it Generator? Is it Generatorium? Okay. If you would get 1 or more energy counters, you get that many plus 1 energy counter instead. Tap to draw a card. Activate only if you've paid at least 4, or only if you've paid or lost 4 or more energy counters this turn. Hydroelectric Specimen. When Hydroelectric Specimen enters the battlefield, you may change the target instant or sorcery spell with a single target to Hydroelectric Specimen. Meltdown. X and 1 red. Sorcery speed. Destroy each artifact with mana value X or less. Good. White of the Reliquary. For 1 black and 1 green for a 2/2 zombie knight. Vigilance. White of the Reliquary gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Tap, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So you kill your own stuff, you make him stronger, and you also get land cards for it. Neat. Guide of Souls. Oh, this is the better, strictly better Soul Warden. This time in foil. You know, I thought Friday night might be a better time to stream, but probably most of the bigger streamers try to stream on Friday night too. Fetid Gargantua, seen that one. Demon Inferior, seen that one. Smelted Chargebug, we've seen that one. Nightshade Dryad. Dog Umbra. Twisted Landscape. Horrific Assault. Glyph Elemental. 1 generic, 1 white for a 1/1. Bestow is the same cost, 1 generic, 1 white. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Glyph Elemental. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each 1/1 counter on Glyph Elemental. Neat. Mindless Conscription. 2 generic, 1 black. When Mindless Conscription enters the battlefield, and whenever you draw on your your third card, each turn, amass zombies 3. Amass zombies. Dreadmobile, 2 generic, 1 black. 3/3 with menace, but it's a vehicle. Tap 1 generic, sacrifice another artifact or creature, put a 1/1 counter on Dreadmobile. Crew 1. Crew 1 is a good crew cost. Foul the Profane. Pulled one of those earlier. Sylvan Safekeeper. 1 green for a 1/1. Sacrifice a land. Target creature you control gains Shroud until end of turn. Sylvan Safekeeper. Arena of Glory. Hey, another rare. Arena of Glory enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a mountain. It can tap for 1 red. You can tap 1 red and tap it. Exert Arena of Glory, add 2 red. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. Arena of Glory. It's not a bad rare. For red. Breathe Your Last as the foil. Breathe Your Last. Breathe. Moving on. Gravedigg. Utter Insignificance. Just turn off one of your opponent's combo pieces. Siege Smash, Area Auxiliary, Shattered Landscape, Eldrazi Repurposer, Breaker of Creation. 6 generic, 2 colorless for an 8/4. When you cast the spell, you gain 1 life for each colorless permanent you control. Hexproof from each color. Annihilator 2. Tameo meets the Story Circle. Too many words. Hey, it's a snow-covered waste. Put that in the land pile. Boggart Bog. Or Boggart Trawler. 2 generic, 1 black for a 3/1 goblin. When Boggart Trawler enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. It's a Bajuka Bog on a creature. Junk Diver, 3 for a 1/1 flyer. When Junk Diver, dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Flage, Titan of Fire's Fury. 1 generic, 1 red, 1 white. For a 6/6. That seems cheap. When Flage enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless it's escaped. Okay, well, that explains it. When Flage enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. Escape is 2 red, 2 white, and exile 5 other cards from your graveyard. Cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. Fun. It's basically a lightning helix initially, and then you have a creature that you can cast out of your grave. Flage. PH. Evolution Witness. That's another good foil to get. Evolution. Land. Art card. Pile. Seen these before. Foreboding Landscape. Lion Umbra, 2 green for an aura. Enchant modified creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has vigilance and reach. And it has Umbra armor, so if the creature were to die, you can just sacrifice one of the Umbras instead. Static Prison. When Static Prison enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until Static Prison leaves the battlefield. You get 2 energy counters. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, sacrifice Static Prison unless you pay 1 energy counter. It's a 1-drop. Not bad. Frogmer Enforcer. 7 for a 4/4. It also has Prototype. You may cast the spell with different mana and color and size. It keeps its ability and types. So it just has affinity for artifacts. Affinity for artifacts is a nice ability. I like it. Nadir's Nightblade. 2 generic, 1 black. Whenever a token you control leaves the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. It's a 1/3. Echoes of Eternity. 3 generic, 3 colorless. Kindred Enchantment Eldrazi. If a triggered ability of a colorless spell you control or another colorless permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Echoes of Eternity. Seems kind of like a win more card for Eldrazi. But the flavor's pretty cool. Wumpus Aberration. 3 generic, 1 green. It's a 6/6 Eldrazi beast. When you cast this spell, if colorless was not spent to cast it, target opponent may put a creature card from their hand onto the battlefield. And it also has Trample. Hunt the Wumpus. I land. Is not water, is land. Push an hour 2. Breathe your last. Sage of the Unknowable. Inventor's Axe. Thraben Charm. Conduit Goblin. Rose-Caught Knight. Seething Landscape. Amped Raptor. Kozilek's Unsealing. Idol of the False Gods. Meteoric Mace. 6 mana artifact with 2 red in that cost. Equipped creature gets +4/+0 and has trample. Equip cost of 4, and it has Cascade. Cascade is a great ability. I like that ability a lot. Wooded Foothills with the old border. Another fetch land. This one lets you search for a mountain or a forest card. Nice. Big fan of the fetch lands. Titan's Vanguard. I don't think I've seen this one yet. 3 generic, 1 red, 1 green. It is devoid, so it doesn't actually technically have a color. 5/5. When you cast the spell and whenever Titan's Vanguard attacks, put a 1/1 counter on each colorless creature you control. And it also has trample. Titan's Vanguard. A land and a token. I think that island is full art and foil. Nice. There we go. Smelted Chargebug. Kami of Jealous Thirst. Tune the Narrative. Infernal Captor. Expel the Unworthy. Cyclops Superconductor. Nightshade Dryad. Ghostfire Slice. 2 generic, 1 red, devoid. This spell costs 2 less to cast if an opponent controls a multicolored permanent. Ghostfire Slice deals 4 damage to any target. So it could just be better Lightning Bolt. Could. Consuming Corruption. Had that before. Charitable Levy. Had that too. Revitalizing Repast. It's a split cost. So black or green. Put a 1/1 counter on target creature. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Meteoric Mace. And rare was Rahl. Rahl, Monsoon Mage. There we go. Oh, I like the way you focused that time, camera. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell during your turn, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, Rahl Monsoon Mage, deals 1 damage to you. If you win the flip, you may exile Rahl. If you do, return him to the battlefield, transform under his owner's control. Flip side. Rahl, Leyline Prodigy. 2 loyalty. Rahl, Leyline Prodigy enters the battlefield with an additional loyalty counter on him for each instant and sorcery spell you've cast this turn. Ooh, okay. So if you got your grape shot off that had like 5 storm counters on it, it just comes into play with 8, and you can ult him immediately. Interesting. Until your next turn, instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Rahl deals 2 damage divided as you choose among 1 or 2 targets. Draw a card if you control a blue permanent other than Rawl. Exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may cast instant and sorcery spells from among them this turn without paying their mana costs. That is a third flip Planeswalker. Nice. Rawl, Monsoon Mage. Not Monstrous Mage. That's a different thing. Expanding Ooze was the foil. There it is. Expanding Ooze. Five packs left. Pretty good pull so far, I'd say. No Nadu, but there's still a few packs. I'd also like to pull a Sorin, just because Sorin's one of my favorite Planeswalkers. Gravedigg. Unfathomable Truths. Molten Gatekeeper. Cranial Ram. Evolution Witness. Inspired Inventor. Bountiful Landscape. Skittering Precursor. 2 generic, 1 red. 3/3 with Menace. Whenever you sacrifice a non-token permanent, create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token with sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless. Golden Tail Trainer. Planar Genesis. 1 green, 1 blue. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. If you don't, put a card from among them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Waterlogged Teachings. 3 and Dimir Split. Search your library for an instant card or a card with flash. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Estrid's Invocation. 2 generic, 1 blue, enchantment. You may have Estrid's Invocation enter the battlefield as a copy of an enchantment you control, except it has, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile this enchantment. If you do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Okay, interesting. So you can just flicker it to choose better targets. Oh, I didn't do the close-up. Let's do that real quick. Close-up. Estrid's Invocation. Seems like it could be a pretty fun card to run in like a... what's that color? Azorius, there we go. And then an Azorius stall deck or something like that. Roshin, Roaring Prophet. 2 generic, 1 red, 1 green. When Roshin, Roaring Prophet enters the battlefield, mill 6 cards. You may put a card with X in its mana cost from among them into your hand. You can also tap to reveal any number of cards with X in their mana cost from your hand. Add 2 colorless for each card revealed this way. Spend this mana only on costs that contain X. It's a 4/4. Roshin, Roaring Prophet. He's got something to tell you, and he's not going to be quiet about it. Or she. Maybe it is a she. Hard to tell. It's giant. It is. It does. Come on. You were just focusing so beautifully. Ugh. Disappointment. Dross Claw. And an art card. Yep, coming up on the end. Last 3 packs after this one. So 4 packs left. Drownyard Lurker. Retrofitted Transmorgant. Corrupted Shapeshifter. Glimpse the Impossible. Jolted Awake. Expanding Ooze. Nyxborn Hydra. Indebted Spirit. Path of Annihilation. Got that one already. That's a good one, though. Monstrous Vortex. 3 generic, 1... Wait, no. I already pulled that one. Good enchantment, though. Revitalizing Repast. Heading away to Altosaurus. 6. 2 generic, 1 green. 2/4. It is a legendary creature that is a tree folk. Reach. Whenever 6 attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. As long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace. You may cast permanent cards from your graveyard by discarding a land card in addition to paying their other costs. Are you going to work? Come on, work. That is a pretty good rare. There you go. Fan of 6. Oh, and another foil rare. It's Pearl Ear. I already pulled one of them earlier. It's not going to focus unless it's in a case, I don't think. The shiny cards like to reflect too much light, and it basically flashbangs the camera. Fanged Flames. Accursed Marauder. Electrozoa. Solstice Zealot. Snapping Voidcraw. Colossal Dreadmask. Tranquil Landscape. Titan's Vanguard. Depth Defiler. I don't think I pulled this one yet. 3 generic, 2 blue, devoid, 3/5. Kicker for 1 colorless. When you cast this spell, choose 1. If it was kicked, choose both instead. First, return target creature to its owner's hand, and then target player draws 2 cards, then discards a card. Etched Slith. 1 generic, 1 black for a 1/1 with Menace. Whenever Etched Slith deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. When you do, you may remove a counter from another target permanent or opponent. You can take your opponent's experience counters. Interesting. Buried Alive. 3 with 1 black in the cost. Search your library for up to 3 creature cards, put them into your graveyard, then shuffle. Genku, Future Sleeper. 2 generic, 1 white, 1 blue. 4 total. 2/5. Whenever another non-token permanent you control leaves the battlefield, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Create a creature token with those characteristics. 2/2 white fox with vigilance, 1/2 blue merfolk with flying. Oh, sorry, not merfolk, moonfolk, excuse me. 1/1 black rat with lifelink. It's 5 mana overall at the bottom with a white and a blue in the cost. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. It's in one of the wrong colors, so I can't run that in the Abzan deck, but it's pretty fun. I feel like blue's been doing a lot more with counters and tokens lately. I mean, they get to copy things, like copy tokens a lot of the time, but oh, come on. Oh well. Genku, pretty neat. Genku. The Hunger That Rises. Swamp. Breathe Your Last. Tune the Narrative. Sarpedian Simulacrum. Expanding Ooze. Basking Broodscale. Riddle Gate Gargoyle. Solstice Zealot. Copy Crook. Ooh, I haven't seen that one yet. 2 generic, 2 blue. For a 0/0, you may have Copy Crook enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has, whenever this creature attacks, it connives. Connive is, I think I mentioned it before, connive is a pretty decent mechanic. Territory Color. I did not realize it was a 7/5. Quest for the Necropolis. 1 black. With landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a quest counter on Quest for the Necropolis. 6, including 1 black. Sacrifice Quest for the Necropolis. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each quest counter on Quest for the Necropolis. Activate only as a sorcery. Priest of Titania. Shifting Woodland. Shifting Woodland enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest. Tap it to add a green, or it also has Delirium. 2 generic, 2, I almost said red, 2 green. Shifting a Woodland becomes a copy of target permanent card in your graveyard until end of turn. Activate only if there are 4 or more cards, card types, among cards in your graveyard. A little bit of janky recurrence. But jank recurrence is better than no recurrence. Eldrazi Repurposer in foil. And my land. And a token. All right. Last pack. Wither and Bloom. Petrifying Meddler. Skoa, Ember Mage. I think I have a full playset now. Solstice Zealot. Snapping Voidcraw. Evolution Witness. Lethal Throwdown. As opposed to non-lethal. Phyrexian Ironworks. 2 generic, 1 red. Whenever you attack... Oh, this is that one that I was confused on the way it worked, because the wording isn't that clear. Witch Enchanter. Azlac, the Swelling Scourge. I actually pull this out. This is the fat pack that I got. I already had one of them in foil. That was like one of the only good cards I got in the fat pack, but you know what? Now I have 3, because I also bought the commander decks. Just in case I needed them. Azlac. Oh, I should read it. Azlac, the Swelling Scourge. It is a 3 generic mana for a 2/2. Eldrazi. Please focus. Please focus. Whenever Azlac, the Swelling Scourge, or another colorless creature you control dies, you get an experience counter. Pay Wooburg, creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of experience counters you have. Scions and spawns you control gain Indestructible and Annihilator 1 until end of turn. So you turn all those crappy little 1/1 tokens and 0/1 tokens into slaughterhouses for 1 turn. That is very rude. But that was in the uncommon slot, so it's not that big a deal. Decree of Justice. We had that one earlier. Winter Moon. I was actually hoping I'd pull... That was one of the cards that I kind of knew about. Was hoping I'd pull a Winter Moon. I have a perfect slot for that. Winter Moon. We have Disciple of Freylis, Plains, and an art card. So no Nadu. That was one of the big names that I remembered from MH3. It's been a little while since it released, so I forgot most of the cards that came out. And I never really paid too much attention to the spoilers anyway. But seeing the Winter Moon is cool. I got, 3 of the Flipwalkers? We've got, where'd it go? Grist. Excuse me. Rawl. And Tameo. Yeah, 3 of them. 3 fetch lands. There was Bloodstained Mire. There was Polluted Delta. Wooded Foothills. I think those were the 3. So, in all, I mean, I wouldn't say it was everything I wanted, but it was definitely a fun pull. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream, but around the same time next week, I still have a box of Bloomborough to open. So I'll probably do another community post, just so I can get community posts. I might start posting a random community post in the middle of the week at some point too, like maybe on Wednesday, to decide what to do after I open the box. That's the last box that I just have sitting around. So I can always go out and buy another box. But I could also like sit here and work on EDH decks if I have some input. But yeah, that's it for now. And hope I see people next time. Bye-bye.